with this world, with this character, I was speaking to Eric, the showrunner, especially about what you bring to the show, and he says that you were a very politically minded person. So how aware of this world were you, and how invested in this world were you, and how much has that changed as you've gotten involved in the show?
To be honest, I don't think there's a Mexican today that cannot be aware of this. We live in a country where more than 250,000 people have been killed in the last 12 years because of a war, a frontal war that the President Calderon decided to go on and confront the drug dealers with no strategy and created a mess. But I have to be honest, I wasn't really aware of what happened in the 80s. I lived the 80s as a kid, and I saw everything from the perspective of a kid, and I'm sure my father was trying always to hide the Mexico that we are talking about now, to his son, I guess. So I had to revisit that time from a different perspective, and I started reading a lot about it. To me, playing Felix Gallardo was a heavy thing to do, So I said, I'm gonna learn about the Mexico he lived in to understand him, the context he had to work on. And it was quite interesting to see that the story has been told to us as if there was good and bad guys, as if there were the bad guys being chased by the good guys. And in this case, it's very different. It's an organization where everyone participated, and so you have the politicians, but the police, but the military, but the business sector, and this was happening in both sides of the border, So it's quite interesting to understand that that's why no one could end this, even if they tried, because you can get rid of one person, but then that place will be filled by someone else, because it is an organization. It is like a corporation, and then I went like, okay, so I'm playing the bad guy, but in fact, this bad guy is working for another guy. And there's always another guy, and so yes, I am playing a criminal, but there's so many criminals out there wearing suits and making decisions for our country, and that story, I think, was never told to me like that, and I learned a lot through the series, through doing the research to play this man. But yes, I am very politicized because I come from a country that forces you to understand the contrast of these countries where there's very few people that have so much and so many people that have nothing,
So you had to, a lot of ways, strip away the judgments that you'd already made about this character, because I do think that Felix Gallardo is, having seen the first episodes here, he's very sympathetic. It's hard not to like him, He's full of honor. He risks his own life, risks his entire business to save the life of his friend. So how conscious were you of making a bad guy incredibly sympathetic? Is that something that you were trying to not do too much, or is that something you're really trying to lean into?
I was trying not to judge him, and to make a three-dimensional character. It's really easy when they tell you you're the bad guy, that you appear in every scene and you're like bad, and everyone has to look at you and feel scared. In fact, this guy is the opposite. He was called the businessman, and I believe it's because he understood the value on being discreet, in this world, and he had this ability to convince everyone to sit in the table. He managed to organize what everyone thought was impossible to do. He managed to say, okay, let's divide the territory, let's work all together, so we make this organization so strong that no one can bring it down, and you got to be very smart to do that, and you have to enchant people, I guess, to do that. I read a lot about what he did, and then I thought, well, who can do that? What kind of character can do that? Because I didn't meet him, I didn't talk to him, I didn't talk to people that knew him. I decided not to go there. He's alive, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna work with the material that is already written, or documentaries and stuff like that. But I don't want any contact with them. And then after reading all of that, I was like, yeah, this guy had to be very charming, to create what he created. He would sit down with the politicians the same way he would go into a ranch with a guy and talk to a guy that grows that grows weed in the fields, and he could connect with everyone in the business. Anyway, yeah.
What was your favorite scene to film, and why was it the confrontation with Pablo Escobar?
No, we cannot talk about that.
We cannot talk about that? Okay.
No.
We never mentioned it.
That's a spoiler. What I can tell you is that there is many gifts through the season for those who love Narcos, and the previous seasons. But my favorite scene, I would say the whole wedding. The wedding. I don't know which episode it is, but
I think it's 3.
The wedding was amazing. Because also it was all of us in the same room for 3 days shooting this wedding, and it was really nice. I mean, I'm working here with the best actors of Mexico, and a few that are from Argentina, from Spain, Chile. So it was kind of nice to realize the size of our production, and I felt really lucky to be working with all these people that, as audience, I go see their films, and I like their work. It was kind of like holy shit, this is a gigantic project, And the director and the DP, for example, is the guy who was the DP in the last film I directed. The production designer is a guy I admire a lot, and I know since I was very little. The costume designer, she did my second film as a director, and she's huge. It's like it's the dream team, of my country working on this, and you could tell on that wedding scene, it looked huge, it looked big and fantastic, and there was a band, and the band was playing, and it was really cool.
And you started your career on television in telenovelas. Mm-hmm. So how much do you feel? I mean, this is really the first time you've gone back for a full series as a star. So how much do you feel you've changed as an actor in that time?
No, I'm different. I've changed as much as television has changed, I guess. When I used to do telenovelas the last one I did, I was 19 years old. And that day I said, I'm not gonna do one ever again, And I don't think I'm doing one, On a telenovela, we used to do 1 hour and 30 minutes every day. On Narcos, we do 1 hour in 13 days. So that tells you, the kind of approach of as an actor that you have on a series. You have time. You have time to work and to process and to try things. While in the television we used to do in the 80s and 90s, it was just like go as fast as possible, get it out of you. And I remember a guy that said, because we used to have these things, you put in the ear and they will be telling you your dialogue, because there was no way to learn those lines. And a guy said, gladly, we have this thing, we don't have to learn this shit. And now it's different, and gladly television has changed, and it's where the exploration is happening, in fact, today. TV is where the great voices are coming out from, where directors have the chance to explore and to try things out and to be risky, I guess, television is taking the risk cinema is not taking anymore.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.